Bronny James. He announced on social media this morning that he will enter the 2024 NBA draft. But this is key as well, right? He's maintaining his college eligibility and will also enter the transfer portal. That means that he, along with hundreds of other college players, they have until May 31st to decide if he's going to stay in the draft or if he is going to go back to school. So here is a look at Bronny's IG post. He said, "I've had a year. It's had some ups, it's had some downs, but it all added to growth for me as a man, a student, and athlete. Thank you to USC for an amazing freshman year, and as always, thankful for my family, my friends, my doctors, athletic trainers, and fans for support." Jay Bilas is with us now. And Jay, from what you saw from Bronny at USC, is he ready to be an NBA player right now this year?
Probably not. Not right now. I think he's got a ways to go, but he's a talented young player. And honestly, Malika, I'm just glad he's playing with what he's been through. He's had an extraordinary journey to get to this point, but he's a good basketball player that I think has a bright future. But, you know, is he ready right now? Probably not. But that's true of a number of players that declare for the draft at this age.
I'm so glad you brought up everything that he's been through. It really is good just to see him back on the floor. But when you think about the best chances for him to continue to hone his game, whether that's at the NBA level or spending a little bit more time in college, what do you think is best for him in this ecosystem?
Yeah, that's a good question, Malika. I think it's one of personal preference. There are a lot of ways to develop your game and your maturity for the NBA. You can certainly go the G League route and go right into the league where you can focus all of your attention on improving as a player and honing your skills for a long career as a professional, but it's certainly a viable option to stay in college. And one of the things about staying in college, you not only get your education, but you get to develop the ego of a great player. You go into the NBA when you're not ready to be a lead dog. You're going in to be a role player. And I'm not saying that in the long term, Bronny James is going to be a lead dog in the NBA. I'm not suggesting he's that type of talent or is projected as that kind of type of talent. But there is some value in having that kind of weight on your shoulders in college and learning how to deal with it. So it's really one of personal preference. And, you know, if only he had somebody in his family that had significant basketball experience to help him with this decision.
Right. If only he had the NBA's, you know, all-time leading scorer to lean on. A good thing he actually does. Jay, thank you so much. I do, before we let you go, you are in Arizona, so I want to talk a little bit about the men's Final Four here, because Zach Edey, I'm looking at it right here, he's really had one of the best performances in NCAA history in a tournament, and it is the most important game of his career now, leading Purdue to this Final Four. Do you think he has a future as a starter in the NBA?
I do. 20 years ago, 15 years ago, he'd be the #1 overall pick. But as you know better than anybody, the game has changed, and it's different now. But his mobility has improved. He's only been playing organized basketball for 7 years, and he could not only be two-time National Player of the Year, he could be most improved player in college over the last 2 years, and especially from last year to this year. Zach Edey is going to play in the NBA, and he's going to play well. Will he be like the old-timey centers? No. The game has changed too much for that to happen, but I think he's going to play a long time in that league.
You can see Jonathan Givony's mocks draft right there on your screen. But Jay, before we let you go, I do have to ask you, what was going through your mind when this was happening the other day? We got this video in, and you were asked to be dunked over?
Yeah, Malika, it was a really different experience. In all my years playing, I never got dunked on and dunked over. So, I mean, it was a brand new thing for me. So I just had to wrap my head around, you know, what was happening. But it was really fun. It was a little bit daunting. I'm glad I cut my hair for it, so it didn't cause any problems.
It's a good thing that we have Kendrick Perkins in studio. He can tell us a little bit more about being dunked on and what that feels like more regularly. Jay Bilas, thank you so much for spending some time with us here on NBA Today.
Thanks, Malika.